Hi my friend, in this video we're going to be making Ghetto Tech House synths and vocals inspired by Cloonee's song Sippin Yak. And we're going to find out if we can do this in under 1 hour by using the 80-20 rule of Tech House synths and vocals. What you're listening to right now is the song that we'll be working on. And what you're looking at right now is the Ableton project file that we'll be working on. In particular, we're going to be focusing on this melodic group here, going over each track one by one as I built it out, so you can follow along when you're building out your synths and your vocals. I'm going to be showing you how to get to a professional quality level with only 20% of the effort by working with a reference track to quickly guide your decisions, as you can see right here, as well as slashing hours of time and effortlessly mixing as you go with powerful templates, Ableton racks, and one knob effects like you could see here. Make sure you stick around to the end. We'll do a full breakdown of the 80-20 rule at that point. All in all, it took me about 45 minutes to an hour to recreate these vocals and synths in this style. And as you can see, the song has been completely mixed, mastered, arranged, and ready to go. And that only took me about 5 to 6 hours to do. So if finishing songs faster is something you'd like help with, I've made you a free bundle of templates, samples, and special bonuses that I use to completely finish one song every single week. Visit the link that's on screen now or in the description to grab the ultimate song finishing toolkit for free. And if you want to take things to the next level, you can also find a link to this video's project files in the description as well. But with that said, let's jump into this. Alright. So when it comes to kind of the synths and vocals in this one, there's not too many elements. Really kind of the drums and the bass are kind of driving most of the track. But with that said, let's take a look at it. So it's actually kind of interesting. There's actually only 4 tracks in terms of the melodic elements here. And so kind of, I would say my approach to this was to start with the vocals, because that really seems kind of like the main melodic element that's driving things in. And so what I did, let's have a look at this first. So I used the tune, what tune did I use actually? All Caps by Mad Villain. And basically just found something that was in like the top charts in the Rap Caviar playlist. And then I looked up to see if there was an acapella already on YouTube, and I grabbed that. Another option would be to grab any song you want and drop into something like Lala.ai or any of those programs so you can extract the vocal. So then I kind of worked on this first part here, so I'll just jump into it. I will say in advance that some of the timing is a little bit off, I would say, and it sounds good and bad. Let's just take a listen to it first.
It's so nasty that it's probably somewhat of a travesty having me. Then he told the people you can call me your majesty. Keep your battery charged, you know it won't stick, yo. And it's not his fault you kick slow. Should've let your trick hold, chick hold your seat glow. Plus nobody couldn't do nothing once you let the brain go. And you know I know that's a bunch of snow. The beat is so butter.
Let's say in the back half there, it sounds a lot better. Basically, I just dropped it into Ableton, played a little bit around with the beat markers. I switched it to Complex Pro, played a little bit around with the performance and the envelope there, and that's just really about it. In terms of the processing on that, I'm using this cool thing. My buddy John showed me this. John Alpine, shout out my buddy John. Using Nectar 3 and an LFO. The idea is you map the LFO to the pitch formant in this plugin and adjust the, like around 50% would be where it's like neutral, nothing's happening. So it's going between 46, so it's bringing the pitch down a bit, and it's bringing the pitch up a bit by 5%. So if you hear the vocal, if you kind of hear it, you can hear it kind of like slowly morphing. Getting higher, and then getting lower. Right there, it's pretty low. So it's kind of cool, just way to make a subtle way to make things sound interesting, I would say. And this is kind of look at Nectar. It's using the pitch right here as the main thing, just adjusting that so it's slightly kind of making it sound deeper and higher and changing it, just kind of dynamic and changing over time. So that's a cool little trick there. Then the next thing is running into the standard channel strip that I usually have, which is starting off with an EQ. I always set it to be usually cutting off around 200 hertz right away because it's a move that I always make. So that way I throw on the channel strip, or the channel strip is on by default. That way I don't need to make a move that I'm going to make anyway. So that's always getting rid of the low, making room for the kick and the bass. and then I'm shelving a bit of the high here. Just kind of trying to mix in the vocal just a little bit there. Other than that, usually run into a transient shaper, but I'm not doing that here. And then we have this one knob sidechain, so it's adding that sidechain pumping effect, which makes room for the kick and the bass, as well as kind of gives it a cool groove, I would say, as well. And I like running it like this with a shaper device, and it's just running to quarter notes, and it's just ducking some volume. That way it's a one knob sidechain instead of having to do all this compressor routing and all this kind of stuff. I just like to do it really quick. And then running into a bit of saturation. I think that's quite a bit of saturation, 7 decibels, using Ableton Saturator to kind of fill up the sound a little bit and add a bit more of that kind of grittier, kind of old school sound in a way. And then lastly, using this width plugin here to just make it a bit more mono, so bring the vocals into the center a bit more. And using this free wider plugin, and basically what I've just done is mapped the key knobs to an Ableton rack, so it's just a lot easier to just work with. All this is available in the project files if you want to grab this. This is kind of the standard channel strip that I have set up to go on every audio track and every MIDI track. With that said, I'm going to show you a little bit of arrangement things that I kind of did with the vocal. So at certain points, it's just fully playing sort of like this.
Got the masses and show them what they know now. Two flows of hot molasses. Do it like the robot, the head spin to boogaloo. Took a few minutes to convince the.
But then I also did little cut ups like this. So it's full. And then just repeat that last line a little bit right here. Kind of like more of an arrangement trick, something I think that's kind of cool to do. And then I want to show you kind of what I did in the intro half as well. So I have just a little cut, like a little chop of the vocal that comes in a bit right here. A weird little it. And then again. And then as the tune progresses, just felt like it needed a little bit something more. This is the same vocal, just cut up. Kind of sounds interesting, I think. Again, it's a very minimal track, so it's just stuff like that's really cool. Let's move on to the next track that I added, which was this, which is super subtle. Let me bring it up to the beginning here. It's this. Solo it. So what that is just another part in the acapella that I found that kind of sounded interesting, and I just kind of threw that in there to add some kind of ambience and some kind of just weird vibes, I guess. So something to fill out the sound a little bit more. I think in these middle tracks you need kind of these little subtle bits to add up. Other than that, we're going to move into the synths, which is pretty simple. Let's drop it in over here, and you can kind of hear in the second drop here. Can you hear that? You solo it. So there's obviously some cool stuff going on here, so let's take a look. So first, the notes is actually just one note playing with a cool little rhythm. And I actually should say like the idea was to flick back and forth between this and the reference track to set the volumes. That's a big thing that I usually mention in my videos. But let's keep working through this. So what's going on here is I ran this into Synplant. And what I did is I have the song Sippin Yak in the DAW here as a reference. And I also found a little cut where there was like a synth sound in like as isolated as I could find it. Let's see if I could find the slice. Basically just looked through like this Cloonee Sippin Yak track here, and then tried to find a spot where the synth was playing by itself, and then I cut it. I can't seem to find it, unfortunately. I cut it and I dragged it into this synth here called Synplant, and when you drop it in here, it creates all these little, it uses AI to try to mimic the sound basically. And it's always never exactly like what you've inputted into it, but it sounds kind of interesting and cool. And then what I've done is if we go here, there's kind of these standard effects that you can have onto it. And so I mapped the tuning to, I believe, an LFO. Yeah, so I have an LFO just kind of wiggling around the tuning, and that's why it kind of sounds weird and moving, even though it's only just one note. Then after that, I'm running it into that same kind of Nectar LFO combination, this time bringing it down further, so it's going, also bringing the pitch down. This 27% level, and the highest it's going is 37, so it's mostly kind of doing this cool like dragging pull down effect. Then running it into some EQ, the standard channel strip situation, removing a bunch of the lows, shelving out some of the highs to mix it in, keep a lot of the low space, mainly just want the bass and the kick to take care of that. Then we have some one knob sidechain for pumping and moving it away from the kick as well, and then some Ableton saturation to fill up the sound a bit, and then we're using this width plugin. We're actually using the width feature of it to kind of push things to the left and right a bit, make it more stereo, and then make it so that the middle is, that's mainly for the kind of vocals to take care of. Then with that said, running it into this next synth here that we have. So let me turn that on and we'll have a listen to that. Listen to it solo. Okay, so we're doing some cool stuff with this one too, I would say. So again, it's like the same, just like pattern as that previous synth. However, if we look at it, so this first note is starting on like the, whatever this is, in between the 1 and the 1.2. And I believe this one is on. So this one starts on the 1. And basically what I did was I took this same pattern and I just moved the entire thing over. So they're kind of like, it's like almost like an echo. They're kind of bouncing off of each other in a cool way. I think I kind of heard something similar to that in the original track. And that's how I got that kind of cool skipping, bouncing, call and response kind of thing going on there. In terms of the processing, Synplant again, I ran that into, I think it was the same sound. When you do drop stuff into Synplant, I wish I would remember it, but it'll show like all this cool little branches of different AI combinations that it came up with, so you can just pick a different one, and so it sounds similar but a little bit different. And then what I'm running that into is, I guess I was trying the Nectar thing, but I turned it off. And that's really it there, because then we're just running into the same channel strip, removing some of the lows, shelving out some of the highs, sidechain for pumping and making room, saturation for filling out the sound, and again some width to push to the left and right. And that is a look at all the melodic stuff for this track. Hi my friend, Matt from Best Friends Club here. And if you've been paying attention, then you've probably figured out what the 80-20 rule is when it comes to creating melodic elements like synths and vocals for your music. The goal here is to get 80% of the result with only 20% of the time, energy, or effort. And because the first key to the 80-20 rule when building out your melodic elements is to use a reference track, we are making sure that we're effortlessly hitting 80% of a very professional benchmark. In particular, we use that reference track to focus on playing in the right key, following a similar rhythm, and selecting the right sounds. This just keeps things fast and focused. The second key is to mix as you go in an extremely streamlined way by only focusing on the volume of our sounds compared to the reference track, as well as using a simple repeatable channel strip for each track that we add to our songs. The third and final key is that you don't want to reinvent the wheel each and every time, so you should start a practice of repurposing your old project files by adding old project files, racks, and groups to your collections area in Ableton. By creating a suite of powerful templates, Ableton racks, and one knob effects that you've personalized and curated over time, you'll be able to get a higher quality result faster. If you'd like to get a head start by downloading all the racks, templates, and all the files that you've seen me use in the Ableton project file for this video, or if you'd just like to take a closer look at any of the techniques or tracks you saw me work on in this video at your own pace, you can find a link to this video's project files on screen now and at the second link that's in the YouTube description. I'm recreating a different song from the Beatport top charts every single week and making the project files available to anyone who wants them. You'll also get access to a private Discord where you can ask me and the community questions, as well as share tracks for feedback. If you or your music are not quite ready for a shot in the arm like that, I've also made you a completely free bundle of templates, samples, and special bonuses that have helped me figure out how to completely finish one new song each and every single week. And you can grab that free Ultimate Song Finishing Toolkit by visiting the first link that's in the YouTube description here. However, if you just feel like staying on YouTube for now, that's totally fine. Save that link for later, and check out this playlist of videos where I remake other melodic elements like synths and vocals from other songs in the Beatport top charts. Or if you want to take what you've learned in this video to the next level, check out this video right here.